Yeah. So what we wanted to do is, we did this a couple of weeks ago, right, where we were trying out a new wine, and we were sitting over there, and I thought to myself, man, we should really do this. Right. We had such a great conversation about the different types of wines and where they came from and all the grapes. Right. You're an expert in this stuff. I am a little less of an expert. So, well, compared to me, you're an expert. Or compared to most people, I would say you're an expert. So I thought it would be a great idea for the next time we do this let's do this on camera, and we can talk about it, and people can learn as well as learning about the wines that we're trying.
I think wine is a conversation in many people's mouth.
Yeah, of course.
In moments, whether you are in the industry or not. Sure, every time I get together with a friend or something, wine is always going to be one of the topics, but not necessarily because I'm in the industry. But I realize that, most people do drink wine.
Of course,
okay?
Yeah.
They do.
It's a big...
And the beauty of it is that you don't... That goes as well with spirits, right? But you don't have to be a connoisseur. You don't have to be an expert, for that matter, in order to understand wine. It's not only about appreciate, but and understand it. Because at the end, it's a personal, experience. What does when we connect our our mind with the sensor part on the mouth, even the aromas, something beautiful occurs. Something magical occurs, and and the older we get, the more we think about the experiences that we have in life. When we're younger, we drink a beer or a glass of wine like drinking water, right? Now we are more aware of what is it that we put in our system, in our intake, and knowing that there's so many grapes, so many experiences out there. I always like to share that, if I'm correct, there's over 800 different varieties of grapes that you can make wine. It's like, who knows all those grapes? Yeah. I'm surprised constantly when I read articles or when somebody calls me and says, hey, I have this wine, this and that. I was like, well, what is it? And I'm eager. I said, bring me a bottle. Let's taste it. Let's try it. Let's see what it is. Because at the end, that's also, when we talk about experience or expertise, I think nobody's expert in anything. There's always so much terrain to cover, so much to learn. Yeah. That is crazy. Something that I've been, about 23 years drinking wine, all right, meaning in the industry.
Legally.
Legally.
Actually
getting paid for drinking.
Yeah.
That's funny because when I started working I worked for a winery, as you know, in Spain, a big producer of Cava, the sparkling champagne from Spain. And my first boss, he used to say something that was funny. He said, do you realize that we are probably one of the very few, if not the only business that they pay us to drink and eat? Yeah. Because wine is not just about drinking, but also the experience of the pairing. And I said, oh my God, this is great. And he would go further and said, imagine if we really sell a lot of wine, what a good life we would have, right?
That'd be nice.
Not only that, also it says, how many caviars do we eat to bring a plate of soup or frijoles or beans to the house, right? So that is so true, because in the world, when you're in the industry working with big importers, big names, and you sit down to have wonderful dinners that perhaps you're not, well, at least back then, I wasn't able to do that, not too often.
Right.
Okay?
Once in a while.
But it's about experience, like everything in life. Everything we do is about, and putting your senses into it.
Yeah. So let's talk about, let's try one of these and let's see.
Since we talked about which wine can we pair, summer just began.
Well, it's been summer here in Miami for like 6 months now.
That is so true. Yeah. Since last summer. It's been summer. Now, one of the things that I personally like to do, we were talking about the different grapes, and there's so many surprising experiences that are there. There's a lot more blends nowadays from many parts of the world, not only monovariety, but also single grape wine. But there are great experiences from many other regions. And I said, well, why don't we do a few whites? because we're in the summer. One of them I have not tasted before.
Nice.
It's going to be the first time. This one here, it's Xarel. Xarel is the grape. These two are Xarelos. They're both from the same region, Penedès in Spain. I will talk a little bit more about it. But I like to start with the Douro experience.
Okay. So tell me more, what is Douro? What does that mean?
Okay, so Douro is the river Douro that starts in Spain. It's del Rio Duero.
Okay.
And when it crosses the border, it becomes the Douro in Portuguese. It's a beautiful region. Let me tell you that I believe what they say that is probably, if not the most, is one of the most beautiful wine regions in the world. Nice. Because of the difficulty of the terroir, but all the wineries that are planted along the river, on the banks of the river, they're planted in what they call Socalcos, the terraces, right? Okay. The slopes. And imagine the difficulty of planting, not only planting there, but harvesting and taking care of those grapes in the edge of a mountain going around.
You can't use like machines.
No, there's no way to
so
use machines. It's all hand
wow.
Harvesting.
That's crazy.
And they work with native grapes. So Douro, according to history, supposedly is the oldest denomination of origin in Europe, in all Europe, where wine was planted and they started to produce wine. So what better way to talk about wine than drinking the wine, right? Yeah, so this one is called Socalcos de Carris. Socalcos, like I said, is the terraces. It's a blend. We'll go over the grapes right now. And the reason why I thought of doing the blend first, because the Xarel, it has a very acidic structure. And this one, although it's a blend and have three different characteristics, if you will, it's more subtle. It's a fantastic wine. The balance is amazing. One of the things that I'm more amazed about winemakers is the more blends that I see, the more I respect a winemaker, because doing a blend is very difficult. This is easy. One grape is easy to do, a single variety, but putting a blend together and not only doing the first year, but then the second year, making sure that structure continues, that the continuity, the consistency on that style of wine it continues, right? Yeah. And that's difficult.
Let me ask you a question about the blends. I'm a big whiskey drinker, a big Scotch drinker, and in obviously Scotch, the single malts are the better ones than the blends. Is it the same way in wine?
We're talking about two different animals. In a way, I'm not an expert in Scotch or whiskey. I love drinking it. My wife especially. Yeah. But this is a totally different world. Gotcha. Just from the raw material that you work with, starting with the grapes, the methodology, two different things. Let me see, because there's so many grapes in that region. This is a blend of Govello. In this case, this year has 25% Govello, 20 Malvasia Fina, which is a grape that also is very known in Spain, 30% Vionicio, and Ravigato, another 25%. Why those percentage? That's a good question for the winemaker. That particular year, when he does the coupage, the blends, he tastes and he puts together whatever percentage he considers that will achieve what they pursue, what they want to achieve on that particular wine. Yeah. The beauty of blends is that when you really connect your senses and the aromas, there's so many fancy words. There's so many. Something that I also wanted to share with you, George, is that the wine industry, one of the things that I have always been worried about and that I learned a long time ago is the way that it has become an industry that pays too much attention or a lot of attention to the awards and the recognitions and this and that. And although that is good because it forces the winemaker and the team to work for excellence, right?
Of course.
And I have no doubt that the wines that get awards and accolades, great accolades, they do deserve those particular accolades and awards. But my only concern with that, my only worry has been that the consumer, when they see a wine that doesn't have any single particular word, they think less of that particular wine. And that is so wrong.
Yeah.
And that is so unfair. I know of fantastic small producers all over the world that they make fantastic wines, and for different reasons. Maybe they don't have an importer in the U.S., because remember, most of these famous awards are from magazines or individual in the U.S. and U.K. And sometimes the small distributors don't have an importer or someone that can represent them in those markets.
Yeah.
So what happened? The wine doesn't reach out to those organizations in order to give them the award they deserve. And right now we have the 3 wines don't have any particular award. But I assure you, at least these 2 that we have tasted, that these 2 wines in a blind tasting would surprise many people for different reasons. So another thing is that we tend to we have learned so many fancy words about the wine, this is that, and the aroma, and so on and so forth. And I always remember that when I worked for the winery by Formosa, my responsibility was a business development export for the whole continent, for Americas, from Canada to Brazil. Just think about this. How many different cuisines, foods are in every single country, all the way from Alaska, if you will, to the Patagonia, okay? And the experience that each country or community has on one single particular wine, it was surprising to me how someone in Brazil, in the Manaus region, which was a fantastic market for me, in the middle of the Amazons, has a totally complete opinion or taste about the same wine in Mexico, for instance.
Right.
So why? Because the food they're used to eating, and
their taste
the taste is completely different. And sometimes what I like to do when I'm sharing with a friend tasting is, instead of me saying what I think, I like to hear back. What do you perceive? What do you get from this wine? Yeah. Because once we concentrate in what we do, and not only the aroma and the taste, which is at the end. The side part is very important, but I always like to concentrate in 2 things: the nose and the taste. At the end, that's what really makes the wine, right? Yeah. At least that's my experience. And we need to make this simple. We need to make the wine drinking, the wine experience, my God, not a complicated issue. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's a little. I'm not from the wine industry, right? So I'm kind of new. Obviously, I've been drinking wine for a long time, but now getting to a point where it's a little bit more nuanced in all this stuff.
Right.
It is very, sometimes it's very, what's the word? It's very scary to try a new wine, because you're like, oh, I don't know, is this good? Yeah. Is this bad?
And what does Xarel mean?
What does that even mean?
So if I don't know it, I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to get the bottle wine.
And like you mentioned, there's so many different types that it's where do I even start? That's why some people just have their one wine and they just.
And that's the difficult part, especially for so many small producers. Which, by the way, small producers have, I always say, one very important thing in their favor, and is that they need, in their favor when they do it, they need to produce good quality wine.
Of course. Right.
Otherwise, if your wine is in the middle there, it might not go anywhere. Yeah. You don't have the budget to promote your wine like big brands do have, all right? But at the end, it's about the experience. We're coming back to the same thing. I like it or I don't like it. Also, it's very subjective sometimes, because if I start drinking this one and we're in front of people and I start saying fancy words about the wine, maybe you sitting there, typically you were going to say, oh, yes, sure, yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course.
And at the end, that happens to all of us, right? I did that many times, and you need to disconnect from the agreement and get your own opinion about wine, food, for that matter, with everything, right? And let's drink. I don't know. And you tell me what you think.
So I've seen a lot of people drinking in a lot of different ways. I've seen a lot lot of wine connoisseurs, experts, but whatever you want to call it. What's the correct way to, if you're a beginner, let's say, what's the correct way to do? So I see people smelling it and moving it around.
Right,
Is there like what's the purpose of doing all that? Is there?
Well,
I just grabbed the bottle.
You could do that too. Look at the beauty about wine, but also that you get in Scotch and all the other drinks is typically when you drink a rum and Coke, you never smell the rum and Coke. You're not going to put your nose into even rum by itself. Some high end and soleras, rums. Yes, the nose is very impactful in what it is. But wine is very unique in many ways, right? A lot of people don't waste too much time into whether the legs are thick or not, which is a resembling of the alcohol in the wine. At the end, what we look for is what aromas is this wine, giving me? What aromas do I perceive in this particular wine, and what taste? I drink more white every day, every day I drink more and more white wines. I'm finding that the scope of aromas from white wines is more than red wine to me, okay? The citrics and the fruit that I get in white wines, sometimes it's even confusing in what you're getting, and that's the beauty of it. The challenge is when you smell the wine and you're thinking about it, it's like, what do I really perceive here? Because I might say, this wine definitely has a little bit of lychee and pears sense in the aromas, but does it really? Right. Because maybe 10, 15 minutes after that, instead of lychee, I'm getting more of a green apple sense. And the array of fruit is so huge, so large, so big. We look to enjoy the wine, to get whatever aromas are coming to you in a satisfactory way. And if you get that particular fruit or aroma, enjoy it. Yeah. And really understand it, really connect with that aroma.
I have a dumb question here. So obviously wine, grapes, but the smells of green apple and pear, where does that come from?
From you experiencing green apples and pears and lychee. If not, you're never going to know what lychee is. If you have never eaten a lychee or smelled lychee in your life, that's why it's subjective, right? Yeah. That's why sometimes when you hear fancy words, it's like, okay, if he says so, now I know what lychee smells like.
Right.
And perhaps not.
Right.
Have you ever eaten what's the toronja, the
grapefruit?
The grapefruit. Yeah. Maybe never. And so what does a grapefruit smells like?
Right. And then you say green apple.
And green apple is
six different types
my
of green
God,
apples.
there you go.
Yeah, so.
But at least there's a common aroma in the green apple versus the red apple, right? Right. And once it's about discovering what is it that brings to you. So when I'm doing a tasting, I say, by the way, this is what I perceive, okay? And from there on, we can talk about, I don't get that, I get this. I think it's more of a the density of the structure, the acidity. Sometimes you can even sense the acidity of the wine by the smell. Say, this is going to be impactful on the acidity, right? So this is a beautiful wine, very balanced, very well done. It's a beautiful wine from the Douro region. Not known, very new to the U.S. market, and it's only here in Florida. We're probably one of the very few, if not the only wine store, except a few restaurants that carry this fantastic white blend.
This is very good. I'm not a big white wine drinker, to be honest. I don't drink white wine very much.
Not yet.
Yeah, I'm more of a red wine drinker. No. This is good.
So, now, the next thing to this is like, you think, what would I pair this with? What would I eat that with? My wife and I have the custom of getting home whenever I can get home early to taste different appetizers. Doesn't matter what it is, whether it's a potato chip to cheese or sometimes spicy food. A lot of things that we do sometimes is when we have leftover foods, doesn't matter whether it's different from a couple of days, We just mix everything. We do a what do you call that? A pot.
Charcuterie board.
When you mix everything on the
yeah, I know.
on the plate and boom, throw it all in there. Maybe throw some crackers, some cheese there, and even if it doesn't match according to our perception, doesn't matter. Do that, taste out. You have a conversation where you look outside, look at the sky, and connect that with that experience. It's about the experience, like everything in life, right?
Yeah. Sometimes you don't think things mix, and then you.
And one of the things that I always, when I've had presentations with winemaker, I always try to tell them, remember, we're not talking to when you sit with other winemakers. By all means, be technical,
your
right?
Scientists.
But even if when we're speaking to people or doing a wine tasting, at least my biggest fear is to sound arrogant and know-it-all, because I do not.
Yeah.
Something that I learned is that every time, right now, this is a new experience. I'm tasting this wine again, speaking with you, and I'm sure that something new is coming back to me.
I think, in all industries, when you start using the big words, you're going to lose people, and then people start feeling like...
Well, the same thing that I talked before about the awards and the medals and all of that. I fear a lot, and I'm very sorry for so many small wineries and brands that they deserve, believe me, big awards, but it never gets to them. And at the end, people, who misses on that? The consumer.
Yeah.
The consumer misses is big in quality and wines that are superb, amazing from many regions around the world. And nowadays, it's like, the wines from here, from there. Sure, there's a different style. Terroir has a lot to do with. Malbec is totally different from the Mendoza region than to Patagonia, even within the same country, right? Yeah. And if when you compare Malbec, now that we're speaking about Malbec from France, two different worlds, right? And then coming back to the same thing, is about the experience.
Yeah.
So
let's try to, what's the next one we're going to...
Okay, so this one is Diorama. You know what? I was trying to, I should have looked for that name. I know it's Catalan. I understand a lot of Catalan. I worked there for many, many years. But it's difficult to speak sometimes. I don't know what Diorama is, but Pinot is the producer, Xarel the grape, and Penedès is the region, like Napa, Rioja, Ribera del Duero. So it's Dio Penedès. Now, this one is 100% Xarel. Xarel is one of the three grapes used in producing Cava. Xarel, Macabeo, and Parellada. So each one has different characteristic, aroma, sense. The Xarel is the one that brings the acidity, the backbone, the structure to the Cava. And I learned to drink Xarel back when I was at the winery. There are very few Xarelos in this market, so that's why when I heard about this too, I said, bring it over, we need to taste that. I tasted Diorama last week, and I was really, really blown away with the quality. The roundness of this wine is fantastic. Even though it's a monovarietal, the acidity is so well controlled in the winemaking process that it doesn't overpower the aromas, it doesn't overpower the senses, but it's a kick in the aftertaste. I love this wine. For those of you who like the Pinot Grigios and good Sauvignon Blancs, this is right there on that level. Fantastic wine.
Oh, that is good.
It's
a little bit more acidic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's long, persistent, right? It stays in the mouth. Now, this is a wine that whoever is not used to appreciating wines with a kick in the acidity, it might be a little bit too impactful to them, unless you get used to it, until you get used to it, right? Yeah. Now, the beauty about something like this, a wine like that, is that you can have cured cheeses, and the cheese will not, or whatever you're eating, will not overpower the wine. Because one of the problems that happens sometimes, I like a wine which is a little soft, but you're eating something,
that's very strong,
and all of a sudden, you're not really pairing anything. You're either drinking the wine or you're eating the food, and you miss the opportunity to combine those two in the palate and appreciate what that experience.
Yeah.
And a wine like this will not let you forget about it when it's in the mouth, even if you have all the food on it. So I love it. I love it. Fantastic.
And Penedès is
The region.
a region
Penedès
in
is,
Spain.
when you look at Barcelona, you know where Barcelona is in Catalonia. Penedès is north of Barcelona. That whole region where the Cava is produced within, the Dio Cava is within Penedès. Although nowadays in Spain, there are other regions that are also producing Cava. With those three grapes, but also with other varietals. Because, for instance, the rosé are produced with trepat, also a native grape from the region of Penedès, and it's one of the most fantastic regions in Spain. Let me tell you, that Penedès area, not only its beauty, okay, but the wines from that region are among the top. It's just that obviously some other regions are more famous and well known, but the wines from Penedès, my God, are fantastic.
Now, I did notice, and it's something that I've always wondered. This one has a twist top.
Yeah.
Is there a reason why some do have cork, why some have a twist top? Does that matter? Does that have anything to do with the quality of the wine?
Well, yes and no, because for instance, the screw cap, the good thing about it is that it's completely sealed. There's not going to be, it could be one could be damaged or so, but this is not going anywhere. It's sealed. Now, a cork is produced from the alcornoque tree, from the cork tree. In the case of Douro, Portugal produces most of the corks in the world. Okay, so look at this too. Look at.
Yeah, they're much different.
My God, this is pure alcornoque, pure cork. This is not.
Okay.
This is partial synthetic, partial cork.
So this is 100%.
This is it.
That came from a tree.
This is it. Look at it. You can break it here on the middle. Look at that. That's it. That's pure cork. If you start doing with the same thing here, it breaks different.
Yeah.
Now, the reason why cork is mostly used, has always been used, but is better for wines that are going to be aged.
Okay.
Because the wine can breathe through the cork. Okay. The other way is completely sealed. But in these wines that are young in the sense that these three wines, two are with cork, one is with screw cap, they're going to be drank about the same time. This is more fancy, nicer. People think that because it has a cork, it's a little bit more expensive, of course.
Yeah.
The cost of this compared to this, it could be $1 or sometimes more.
Which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're making 10,000 bottles.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So there's nothing wrong with cork screw cap. Actually, I like it a lot. And
so there's no quality difference. There's
no for this level of wines whatsoever.
Yeah.
Whatsoever. Okay. Now, a lot of wineries, especially if they're mid-sized or small, they don't have the resources to put a machine that's because these are expensive machines. Yeah. Cork is a lot different nowadays. It's just even you can do it manually. This you cannot do. All right. So at the end, reaching out to the screw cap is because you have a volume that justifies to have a machine for that. And sure, it's a lot cheaper, but when you do volume, okay. So.
And what would you, I guess we had talked about pairing this with food. White wines with more...
The fact that wine goes with fish or white meats, yes and no.
Yeah.
My opinion. Okay, I'm here sharing. Now, this particular wine, the Xarel, the acidity of this wine, it's not, to me, I don't see it with meat. I don't. This is for fish, for... tuna salads, because the acid that you get on the seafood part, it balances fantastic with it's not the same acidic level, experience or concept, totally different. The acid and the wine it takes effect in the aftertaste, in the
feeling
the
it,
aftertaste
right,
on the back,
feeling it,
right?
yeah.
But very, very steady, stays there, very long, very pronounced. Cheeses, cured cheeses, because the pairing there is strong. The experience with cheese, this is fantastic, right?
Yeah, this is good. I like,
Yep.
well, both of them have been really good. And then this one is a new one,
It's also
right?
Xarel, yeah. Well, the one of our friends, distributor, told me about it. He said, "Hey, since you like Penedès and this and that, here, look what I have." I looked at the label. I found it interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's something that
It's a little less, what's the word? Less classic, less traditional.
well, I don't know. You tell me. You're a millennial. I'm not. So what do you?
I'm an elder millennial.
An elder millennial.
Yeah. It's interesting.
It's all right.
Different.
It's different.
Sometimes different is bad. Sometimes different is just different.
Here we go again.
Yeah.
It's the perception about a label.
Yeah.
My God, it's a perception about a metal. Perception about what's in here. That's where we need to go.
That's the important
and
part.
then
But
taste
you know
that.
what? A lot of people, especially you go to one of the big stores, and I won't name them, but you know the big stores, and there's a billion wines. What are you gonna go for? You're probably gonna go for the pretty label or something different, or unless you obviously know what you're going for,
Right.
and you know it. But
And what happened in those big stores is that the consumer, especially if you're in a rush,
yeah,
you're going home, you need to stop. You're gonna go for something that you know.
yeah,
You might not have time to wander around or ask about this and that. And that's the issue that sometimes small producers suffer because they don't have that connection.
Well, I think that's where we kind of come in, right?
There you
As
go.
the purveyors, we're not the big box stores. You're not going to find the same things you find at those stores from us. You're going to find the smaller stuff that is usually better quality at a lower price.
Without a doubt. And something that we also look for is that the most important thing in making wine is two key elements: the terroir, right, and the climate. And all the areas around latitude 41, I would say between 39 and 45, if you sit down and you look at a map of the globe and you point to all the most of the winemaking known regions, there are on that line. Both Northern Hemisphere and Southern Hemisphere.
Yeah.
Because the climate more than anything else. The terroir varies, but the climate is consistent. You know, whether we talk about climate change nowadays or that, some fossils, especially wine regions, show that there were other times, years past, that it was as hot as today or more. So it's a science that is not 100% sure.
Yeah.
Is there, are the regions being more warm? Yes, they are. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
That's a fact. But the beauty of this is that not only the producers, the people, but the planet is adapting to nature. Nature is nature.
Yeah.
God created something beautiful, amazing, and smart.
They will adapt to.
They will
whatever.
adapt to what it is, and
Also,
and
the winemakers adapt to whatever.
for instance, let's say there's some years where there's a drought. It doesn't rain a lot for whatever reason.
Yeah.
What do you do? How do you do it? Or vice versa. There's a year that it rained too much. What's going on? How do you take care of that? You need to harvest earlier, a little later, based on all those factors. There's so many elements that here that for that, I'd like to have one day a winemaker that his expertise is the land, the field. Because you remember, I worked the fields a lot. I did a lot of harvest, but because it was part of my job, not my specialty. One thing is to do it as an experience, which is beautiful, and you understand and you learn more. The other one is that winemaker who decides what is going to be pruned or not, when are we going to harvest or not, depending on many factors, level of sugar, the pH, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, it's a science, but also it's a skill, it's an art.
You got it, both things. Because they need to smell. When I say smell, I mean not smell the plant.
Right.
It's just the experience and knowing the know-how of when to do what.
Yeah. We had a wine tasting, something that we do a lot. We do a lot of wine tastings here, and we had a winemaker here, and hearing his like passion for how much work goes into just one bottle. It really it's awesome to hear somebody in any field. It's awesome to hear like the passion and the work that goes behind just one little simple bottle that you buy.
I do remember the first time, I think it was 2006. Yeah, 2006. Sorry, 2005. September, mid-September. So it was the first time ever that I got my gloves, the clippers, because it was cold, and the light, right, the flashlight here in and it was exciting. Oh my God, I'm going to do this and that. Fantastic. I went to the field. After 3 hours, I was asking myself, what the heck am I doing here? This is not me. This is not, I like wine, but this is, you know what? Fast forward maybe 4 or 5 years. I appreciate and I thank God every day for those experiences, because the one that every time I'm drinking a glass of wine or smelling a wine, that experience, that being because it's not just the smell of the grape, but the soil, the terroir, the tree. If it rains, it smells totally different. Yeah. That experience stays with you. It brands you, okay? And it'll help you. It's like everything in life, right? At a given moment, it will come back to you, and it will help you to understand or to do what you're doing. So
this is a Xarel, just like the previous one.
Right, previous. Same grape. Actually, I know both wineries. Agustito Reyo Mata. It's a beautiful Cava producer. And Pinot is a big producer there. This one's a small winery. And they're very close to each other in the same region, right? Penedès.
Talk a little bit about the years, right? So this is the 2024, we have 2023. I know there's obviously like the older wines that get up there in price, but for like a white wine or your normal wines,
you want to have in white wines, the closer to the vintage, the more lively the wine is going to be. Okay. A wine like this, for instance, these two. Let me taste this one first because I'm really having.
So this one's more acidic to me.
Okay. This one is more creamy in the aftertaste. The Diorama is more crispy. Here you have more. Oh my God, what's that word? Untoso, more creamy. It's also like heavy on the back. Has good acidity. I think this is a more clear and impactful acidity in the back. This is me speaking. Mm-hmm. This one, although has the same acidity, you can see there's the same. They're very similar, same grape, right? Yeah. But the winemaking process is different. This is a 2024. This is 25. This one is fresh, clean, young, boom, impactful. Yeah. This one is more subtle, more subtle, and perhaps is that why that creaminess comes into at least the perception that I have.
Yeah, they're both good.
They're very good. Yeah. Very good wine.
I think of the two, I might like Diorama a little bit more.
Me as well.
Yeah.
So
the years for a white is a little bit younger.
Well, also for red young wines. Mm-hmm. Just remember, wines that are not for aging or they haven't been in the process of being in oak, right? These are wines you want to drink them within 2 years. Okay, this is 2025. This one will be fantastic like this for 2 years. This one maybe another year and a half, and that's it. Okay. And the wine quickly goes down and becomes too acidic, right, to drink. But they're great wines. I'm glad that I'm tasting both of them and that we're using this first opportunity to speak about new wines. Yeah. And we're planning to carry them, and they're going to be available.
Are these already available? I know Carris is already available. Diorama, do we have it available as well?
It's already available. Okay. And then also when it comes to pricing, because that's important also when we talk about the market. Since before the pandemic, or actually after the pandemic, 2020, a lot of things changed in many industries, and we know that. Right, every industry was impacted, right, one way or the other. Something curiously is that in the alcohol industry, alcohol consumption industry, in both spirits and wine, the consumption went through the roof.
Obviously,
people were stuck at home. A lot of people still continue to work at home. And
I won't admit how much I drank during the pandemic.
You don't want to admit?
No, I don't want to.
You don't want to admit.
But it was a lot.
So what happened to you happens to a lot of people.
Yeah, of course.
Now, what happened is that for 2-3 years, that consumption continued. So producers say, hey, let's double production, let's buy more grape, let's buy more wine glasses, more bottles, let's expand on this. This probably happens more to the spirit than in the wine industry. So all of a sudden, a year, 2 years ago, the consumption went down. When you look at the true statistics, it's not that it went up and, oh my God, we're in trouble, it went down. It's that it came back down to normal process.
Normal
okay, I agree that it went down a little bit less than normal, but the impact is not like all of a sudden, my God, the industry went to hell. Right. No, it did not. And we see it. We see it in our consumption. Now, I fear more the challenge with the new generations drinking than with the consumer who's used to, which is still you guys, millennials drink a lot still. Although I'm generation Z or what's the one before you?
I don't know.
I forgot.
Prehistoric, I think, dinosaurs.
I don't even follow that. But I still have quite a few years. If God grants me life, I have a lot of good years to drink. So our generation is going to continue to drink modestly, but okay. Yeah. So it's all right. It's not that bad as a lot of people want to think it is.
Amazing, man. So I think the next one, we're actually going to have a wine tasting coming up next week where we're doing a champagne versus Cava versus Prosecco, which is going to be fun. A lot of, something different that a lot of people don't think about. Most people know Prosecco or champagne. A lot of people don't know about Cava. At least a lot of the people that I talk to, they didn't even know Cava.
Sparkling in general.
Yeah, right. So I think our next podcast should be...
Absolutely. And let me tell you, people are missing a lot in not knowing the experience of drinking more sparkling in general. There are different methods, and I think the idea of making sort of like a little competition between Prosecco, Cava, and Champagne, there are different styles, different methods, different regions, different grapes. Yeah. It's fantastic, and we want to make sure that our guests, they're able to even have an input into what they like best and which ones. We're going to have a winner out of the 3 wines or sparklings. And I'm looking forward to that event.
It's going to be interesting to see. Because I think most people have a thought that, I like this one more than the other one. But maybe you don't know until you try all 3 of them right next to it. Or even if you do, like you mentioned, a blind test where you don't know the label. You don't know what it is that you're drinking.
Right.
So it's interesting. So let's do until the next one.
Looking forward, my friend.